Welcome back to Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig, and today I got to chat with a good friend who hasn't been on the podcast since we did the reboot. I'm very excited to chat with him. Spencer Streichert, comedian, actor extraordinaire. He has a new comedy special out, Cowboy #2. It's his first full-length comedy special available on YouTube, so you can check that out. So we're going to talk about how he got to it, why now, the decisions he made behind it all. And we're going to chat about mental health. We're going to get some serious subjects happening at times. We're going to chat about comedy in the city, his goals for 2026. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some tangents. We're going to talk about TV. It's a good time. So if you're looking for some ridiculousness, this is the episode for you. Please enjoy my chat with Spencer.
Let's make like a crushable beer and crush it.
Exactly. Wow, you are a wordsmith, my friend.
It's not just for the mullet, let me tell you.
Oh, well, Spencer.
I believe that this is now. I think I'm tied with Matt Waterworth for a number of podcast appearances.
Oh, nice.
It's because you guys did all those Jurassic Park and Jurassic World episodes.
Yeah.
And I was at 4, I think.
Yeah.
And now I'm tied with him.
Now you're tied with him. Yeah. I like that you're just like, that's what I'm striving for.
That really is. I'm like, I need to crush Matt Waterworth in the number of podcast appearances I have done.
I think the person who's leading up there, who's been sneakily, because we've been separating it, is actually Adam from SIF.
Oh,
yeah, with the shorts programmer.
Yeah.
Adam has been on a couple times now, but like it's always been sneaking because it's been for like SIF, or we talked about the Oscars and stuff.
Right.
Like that. So people don't realize that Adam's just
sneaking in.
Sneaking in.
Okay, so now my goal is to crush Adam.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, I am so excited to have you on the pod. Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a really long time. I think the last time that we saw each other was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is insane because like we live in the same city. We're at this like a lot of the same circles. Like we're and we're friends. I don't know why it took 2 years. Like this is the thing that I think is annoying about getting older.
Yeah.
One of my groomsmen, I haven't seen him since two of them live in another city, so I haven't seen them since the wedding. I see them sporadically. But one of my groomsmen I used to hang out with all the time, lived with the guy. I haven't seen him since the wedding. And I'm like, he's always like, yeah, we should grab drinks. And I'm like, yeah, we should. And then it's just like, oh, you're an adult and things happen and life is hard. And I hate that.
It's difficult. And yeah, being an adult and you and I don't even have kids. Like I've got friends with kids that's even harder to coordinate. Like
I couldn't imagine trying to have a social life and also having offspring.
Yeah.
That is just a level of commitment to like making your social life it really is a full-time job on top of the raising kids, which is a full-time job on top of their full-time job.
Yeah.
That's way too much.
Yeah.
I could not imagine.
I can barely do it for myself. Like just
yeah. Listen, if I can put pants on and leave the house on like a day where I have nothing going on, that's right there a win.
Yeah. Oh my, you're the same as me. Like it's those days and especially those weeks where I'll, have 4 or 5 events in the week. Mm-hmm. Then I'll have all these podcasts. Like sometimes there's weeks where, as I was just saying before this, like where I have a bunch of recordings happening at once and it's like nonstop. And then I get a day off and I'm like, I really don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I don't put pants on until I order Uber Eats.
Yeah. Until I have to see another human being that isn't my spouse. Like that's I think the biggest thing is like, cause I mean, after getting married, we moved outside of downtown. So we're still like, it's only like a 5-minute drive to downtown.
Yeah.
But that's like a 45-minute like transit or like, like there's so much that goes into like making an effort to get out.
Yeah.
And it's like on those days where you don't have anything, I kind of don't want to leave my house. I'm like, this is comfy and I've got everything I need here. I can play video games. I can watch movies. I can listen to records. That's kind of nice day. You know, that's I'll throw a load of laundry on, just so that I can pretend like I did something.
Yeah, and I mean, like you, like me, you and I are similar. Where sometimes our quote unquote job, our gigs, our thing doesn't start till like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And so our we're going to be entertaining people. So you kind of reserve that energy during the day anyways, and then you're not going out till 7, and then you're like done at 9, 10, and then you're like, well, I don't know what to do now.
Well, and so I have a question for you on this, because I think it's different for everyone, but I always feel like the having things to do at night, like building the energy up for that, I like that, because it's like, okay, like the whole day I can get a lot of stuff done that I want to do. But then I know other people, like Siobhan is like this, where if the only thing that she has to do in a day is at night, it just like stresses her out the whole day. And I'm like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, well, I have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
That, like, I can do something right before bed and feel like I still had a full day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I find I will be good, and I'll like, I've been seeing a trainer, so I've been going to the gym more frequently. So I'll be getting up, going to see him at 9 a.m., and then I'm, instantly like, okay, well, I've already left the house. Let me go do some stuff. Let me run my errands that I need to do. Let me do some prep work. And then it's always, for me, I'm good up until if I don't schedule things properly. So then all of a sudden, like, I'm done everything I need to do by 4, and I have these like 2 hours before I have to leave.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and that's when I'm like, give me my Coca-Cola. Like, I need that energy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I'll have a nap. I'm like, that's gonna fuck me up more.
Well, see, and that's the worst part, I think, is like when you have 3 hours, I think, is the least amount of time that you can have where you have like time before something, before you have to leave. Because I think that 2 hours, you're thinking about it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
An hour is literally you're just there at home for a minute. Yeah. Like you like, I don't know about you, but if I have like an hour before I have to go, that's when I get into like hyperdrive. Like, let's go get everything that I need to do in the house. Like, double checking the clock every 5 minutes, just being like, am I good?
Yeah.
Is everything going to be okay?
Yeah. The worst is when I still like I said, I still work part-time at Bourne, so I still pick up some shifts there. And like, I have a shift coming up in a couple weeks where I don't start till 3. And that's the worst.
Oh.
The 3 o'clock start time is the worst, because then you really feel like you can't do anything during the day.
Yeah. No, and that's 100% true. Like I'm doing a lot of fill-in shifts at CKUA right now, and like, if I'm hosting the afternoon, that is where like I love morning radio, because you get done and you're like, I have the whole day. But like with afternoon, you build up the whole day to have that energy for that amount of time.
Yeah.
And I find like I love it. Like I really do love it, but it is funny because if I've noticed when I'm on at like 9 a.m. or 11 a.m., even 1 p.m.
Yeah.
There's like, I can hit the mic with a certain level of energy. 3 p.m. it's like I start slow and I build the energy up. And I'm like, why is that? What is that? Like, what's the difference between 1 and 3?
It's just, I think there's just something there. Because again, if I start, like, most of my shifts at Bourne, I don't start till like 12:30.
Right.
No problem with that. That is nothing. I can still go to the gym. I can go do whatever I want. Sit at home, watch an episode of TV or something like that. I'm good. But that 3 o'clock, I'm like, oh.
You can grab a warm beverage and a pastry with a friend in that time. Like, you can have like a nice morning. But if it's 3 p.m., there's something about that extra 3 hours that's just so much more stressful.
Yeah. Also, how old are you? Warm beverage and a pastry? Like that.
I'm secretly 65 years old. It's funny because I just turned 30 and I realized how I have hit the point where now I am becoming an old man.
Yeah.
Like I've hit old man age and I'm okay with it. I'm like I will still go as hard as possible when I'm around people. Like and this is where I have maybe a fault, because I will occasionally, there will be like coworkers of mine that are younger, like in their early 20s, and I'll be like, I am making it a goal that I'm keeping up with these people.
Yeah.
Because I can't be that old guy. But every single night, I do the exact same routine. I eat an edible. I get a cup of bedtime tea, and I watch a Scottish guy trim dairy cow hooves on YouTube while I lay in bed and like gently drift off my sleep. And I'm like, that is the perfect evening, right? You know.
Well, that's a good kind of segue into like talking about comedy. We're gonna get to your special, but you as a comic, you want to be, you're being you're being or like a character of yourself, heightened. You're telling stories about you, but you want them to be relatable to the audience, right? That's a good way to do it. So do you find as you're becoming, as you age, are you overthinking things too much when it comes to jokes? Because for me, like I will ask a trivia question or play a song and like everyone's gonna know this, and there'll be these 19, 20-year-olds who are like, I don't know what this is. Like, how do you not? It's Backstreet Boys. Shut your goddamn mouth. Like, there's things that I feel like people should know, or like I make a reference to something, and like when I first started doing trivia 7 years ago, I could ask a friend's or office trivia question, and everybody in the crowd's gonna somebody at the team. But now there are times I ask a friend's question, and there are people who like I've never seen it, and I'm like, oh,
I feel like there isn't really the overthinking, because I think what I end up doing is what I've noticed is that my writing process as I've gotten older has been more confident. Like, I'm more secure in what I'm saying, so I'm like, the majority of people that are going to be at a comedy show are usually between like 25 and 35. Like, that's like the golden zone of like comedy audience, right? You'll get the younger people occasionally, and the older people will get the references, so you don't have to worry about that so much with like pop culture stuff. I think what I did find funny about my special is that like the way that I packaged it and the way that I edited it was very like Gen Z style of like YouTube video. And yet I'm talking about like Body Break and like, the House Hippo, and there's things that like they just won't get. Like, they're not going to have a point of reference for that. And you kind of have to just accept that not everybody's going to know everything. And there's that fine line between having to explain what something is and just going, all right, if they get it, they get it. And if they don't, they don't. Like, I think that also what I've noticed is like, as I've become more confident with myself on stage, it's like, just being willing to be myself and not being afraid of that, because I think that so much of my younger self was like, oh, I hope that people don't think that I'm a bad person with what I'm about to say. And it's like, you kind of get to a point where you're like, it's an art form. People are going to either like you or not like you, and you have to be okay with that. And I'm definitely at the point now where I'm like, again, hitting that old man arrow where I'm like, I don't fucking care if you like me. I know where my heart's at, and I know that my jokes are kind of dark at times, and I'm okay with that.
But let me ask you this though. Like, do you find that you can get like, it almost makes you just as proud when you tell a joke that the whole audience laughs at and enjoys, or you tell a joke that is perfect, and there's just, you see that one person in the audience who really loves it, appreciates it, crying, dying, laughing. It's almost like, because you're like, okay, this is a good joke. Yeah. Perfect joke. Only this one person got it, but it's still sold to one person.
And, I feel like that's kind of the more, like, this is where, like, I'll be a little bit of a fart sniffer for a second, but I'm like, I appreciate those jokes more where, like, the one person gets it, because it's like, I feel like you're having a more intimate connection with that one person, and you're also saying something that like you're at least like you're being true to yourself enough that one person gets it, and even if everybody else doesn't get it, it's like, how many like, and I mean, we're both very social people, but it's like, how many friends do we have? How many like really tight in the circle friends do we have? And so it's like you look at those jokes, and it's like, that person could fuck with the inner circle, that person could be in that person could be in the group chat, that person could be like the person that you need to talk to when things are going bad, because like they get what you're saying, but the whole point with comedy is to make everyone laugh. So you can't have the whole thing be those jokes, right? So it's like it is that fine line of packaging it in a way that that it's digestible for everybody, but having like I like to layer my jokes so that there are those moments where there's a few people that laugh at maybe a setup,
Yeah.
that other people don't laugh at the setup, but they're all going to laugh at the punchline, you know?
Yeah, because there's things that people just know they've gone through in life, they've figured out, they've seen, they get it. So, you know, or maybe you've seen this comic before, so you get it. So there's definitely times that I'm starting to like laugh a little bit, and friends are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I can sense where this is going, and I already love it.
And I love that too, because that to me is like when you have people that start to laugh at the setup, and you're like, oh, you think you know where this is going, and I'm about to like make you really laugh with this wild fucking punchline that's going in the opposite direction. Wow, it took a long time to drop an F-bomb.
Yeah,
that is impressive. I give myself a pat on the back.
About 15 minutes. Well done.
You know what? That's pretty good.
It's only gonna go downhill from here.
Gonna go downhill. Let me tell you, there's gonna be a whole sentence of them stringed together by the end.
But we'll all know exactly what he's saying.
Exactly.
We all speak fuck language.
We should speak fuck.
So, well, let's just dive into this. I mean, Cowboy #2.
Yeah.
There's a new special now available on YouTube.
Yeah.
So first of all, you know, you've been doing this for a while. You do sets. You know, most sets you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on what you're doing.
Yep.
So when did you know that you had enough for
an hour?
For an hour special?
It was so in 2023 I made the decision that I was like, okay, I've been doing comedy for almost 10 years at that point. I think I was at like 8 years, and I was like, all of my peers, I'm seeing them headline.
Yeah.
And I knew I had enough material, so I was like, I just need to book headlining dates. And I was still featuring at clubs and hosting at clubs and everything, but I made it a point to book my own tour, because I was like, if I'm in charge of this, it's going to be a little bit easier if I fuck up, I fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, like especially with headlining for the first time, it's like, if it's on me, it's on me. It's not on the booker. It's nobody else's problem but myself. And so I made a point to like book these shows, and it was like, I knew that I had a few months to like fine tune all of the material to like get it into an hour. And then it was just a matter of like placing all of those bits into what would be an hour. Right. And so my first few gigs were, you know, like everything on that first tour was so wildly different in terms of each show, because the headlining gig that I did was in Invermere, which is where I lived for a few years when I was a kid. And it was it was kind of scary because it was the worst gig of the tour.
Really?
For so many reasons. Like there was 4 people in the audience. There was 2 servers in this brewery that were like just flirting with each other the whole time loudly. And then I like went up and kind of ate shit in front of one of my childhood best friends for like 45 minutes. And I was just the whole time going, I hope that the rest of the tour isn't like this. And then
it was.
And it was. No, but it was literally the next weekend things turned around. It was I did Swift Current and Medicine Hat back to back, and both of those gigs sold out. And it was such a different vibe. Suddenly I was like, oh, all the jokes actually do work when they're together. And then it became from that point forward going, what needs to be the arc in this? Like, How do I string this together in a way that makes sense? And so that was then what I did for the next year, you know, like that was all of 2023 and the first half of 2024. Like I was headlining kind of across the country, and then I was able to go to the States a bit. And so like there was like a lot of place for me to develop this hour and to develop this material even further, because when you're doing these, like, you know, when you're doing spots around town and you're just building up the material, it's easy to fine tune 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But when you're doing a full hour, you get to see like where those 5 or 10 minutes are really weak, or where they're really strong. And you can suddenly add callbacks into your jokes that you didn't have before because you didn't see the full picture of the hour. And then right before recording, I was like, I kind of figured out that, the whole theme of this and like everything that is building in this hour is about mental health. Like, and it was kind of weird because like I had written all the jokes, but like once you put them all together, you start to see like, that's where I'm really writing about right now. That's where my focus has been. So it was kind of interesting once I got, through that first year of headlining and really fine tuning that first hour, like seeing where the through line of everything kind of connected.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what ended up being with Cowboy number 2. Like the whole thing, like it does build to a big fucking section about mental health.
Yeah.
And it's that joke wouldn't work if I didn't have the 40 minutes beforehand, because like people kind of need to get to know you in order to say some things on stage. Like there's a saying with comedy, like the audience should know who you are after 5 minutes on stage. And I agree with you. I think like they should learn something about you in that first 5 minutes that you're on stage. But I think that there's a certain amount of trust that needs to be built over a certain amount of time. And usually it's like 30 to 40 minutes that the audience will trust you to go down some kind of fucked up avenues, and go, I'm here and I'm along for the ride and I'm okay with that,
I mean, that's just how audiences are when you think about so many things. Like, there's TV shows, great TV shows who have had an episode kind of come out of nowhere and it's so like different, but it's everybody freaking loves it.
Right.
Because
like the Stranger Things sister episode.
Yeah. Then there's ones that didn't work, like the Stranger Things sister episode. But you have those shows where, the audience, you've built this trust with the audience and they're going to allow you to go down this road. And then other times you do it too soon. And I think that the Sister Stranger Things episode, I think if they could have done a lot of different things, but if that was saved for like the 3rd season, because that was still only 2nd season,
right? And
it was still, I was like, I've been rewatching it, and the fact that there are only 8 episodes in those per season, and this was so new to binging and streaming that like. Yeah, we weren't as an audience ready for something like that.
And I feel like that was one of those things that would have worked on network TV.
Yes.
Like because you would have had a week in between, so you would have 2 weeks then. Like you'd be like, oh yeah, that was the mid-season slump, But when like you said, with 8 episodes where it's right there, you're watching the whole thing at once. Like you got to make it a little tighter. You got to make it a little bit tighter.
Yeah, and the amount of people who reacted to that story that I posted about it, everybody agreed with it. A couple of people messaged me. They're like, "Is that the one where like Eleven's off on her own with those weird group of people, and one's like kind of her sister?" Is like, yeah. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, we skipped that one too."
Yeah, it's just like it doesn't really fit thematically with what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there was any information in it that like we really needed.
No.
That's the other thing. Like all of those flashbacks could have been smattered throughout the rest of that season and made each episode like 2 minutes longer.
Because then the final episode of that season, because I just finished it, as Eleven's trying to close the gate, it cuts to like moments from that episode and everything like that. So I'm literally like, so I really didn't need to watch it because I'm just seeing it all right now.
You're getting that nice little montage, that nice little, hey, here you go, I'm feeding it to you in my hand.
Exactly. You know what? Good for us for that being our first tangent. I was expecting a lot more chaos.
I was expecting to get to happen right off the hop. To be completely honest with you.
Oh, maybe it has. Maybe we didn't even realize that. I don't know.
We're actually just like completely illiterate and incapable of getting through it.
Okay, let's try and go back to Cowboy number 2. I'm not cutting any of this, by the way.
No, absolutely. This is what the people are paying for, okay?
So Cowboy number 2, Is it because you like poop?
Okay, so there's three reasons why I named it that. And the first one that is the most important one is like, for like, as you know, I've been an actor for like the whole time that I've been an adult, and you know, we get a lot of good productions that come through, but literally every single time I have been Cowboy number two. It's been kind of an ongoing joke where like Billy the Kid, I was Cowboy number two in the Seven Rivers Gang, and then like I was in this movie called Viking. It was a French comedy, and it's like actually like a really phenomenal movie. I went and saw it at SIFF, and I was like, I can't believe I'm in this. Like, but I was Cowboy number two, and then Fargo the last season. Again, Cowboy number two. I was one of John Hamm's henchmen, and and all of these have been like, the thing that I think has been so annoying about it is that they've all been legitimate parts, like all been like recurring parts on these shows. But my IMDb is the most ridiculous looking thing, because it's like there's a solid 4 years where the only credits are Cowboy number two, and I'm like, I have to play into this. So that was why I named the special Cowboy number two, because I was like, I'm just going to add it to the IMDb. That'll be funny. The other reason was when I was in high school, I ended up second in the novice bareback riding in Canada. So like right there, I was like, okay, still was number two.
Number two.
And then the third reason is because there's a saying and a podcast that I really like and a company that I really like called Cowboy Shit. And so it's like, oh, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna go do some cowboy shit, right? And I was like, I can't name it Cowboy Shit, but I could do Cowboy number two, and then it's kind of like a subtle, like, you know, it's Cowboy Shit.
I like it. It's all connected. I like the several reasons. I was listening to I think it was Amy Poehler's podcast, and they were chatting about Parks and Rec, because I didn't realize this, but like the creator writers made sure that they never gave they always gave every single character a full name,
right?
Because they didn't want the Cowboy number two, but they also didn't want, because as you know as an actor, there's sometimes where it's just like, it literally, the script's like fat girl,
right?
Ugly dude, like it's just like really something
ugly
like,
dude would be my alternate, honestly. That would be what I would get frequently otherwise.
So they would just create weird names for these people, so that way it doesn't have on the IMDb.
And
kid.
I feel like that's something that is so commendable, because like that's showing an appreciation for everybody that's on that set, you know, because you do have those moments as an actor where you just go, oh god damn it, like I'm ugly guy staring out the window, like I'm you know, Bucktooth Charlie, like they'll have like a name like that, you know.
Yeah, I'll give you a name, but
it'll have an insult to preempt it. Yeah. But I think that's a really cool thing, because I think that nobody kind of thinks about that. So to hear them think like talking about it openly is a really nice change of pace.
I thought that was really cool. So I mean, you've been doing comedy for a long time, stand up specifically, and then really the past few years you really focused a little bit more on acting. Is it weird for you to like, because again you're being you on stage, but there's still like a heightened version of you, right? So is it weird for you, after playing various characters for so long, to come back to being you?
I think that it's actually the opposite, that it feels refreshing to just be me and to be able to like create your own thing, because you know, as an actor, you like, okay, I know that somebody will disagree with this, but actors, your artistry is important, but you are a meat puppet at the end of the day. Like you are saying lines that you did not say. You have no say in what the final outcome looks like. Whereas with comedy, you are the writer, the performer, the director, the producer. You're everything. And so like you have so much creative freedom with it. And I find that it's kind of nice, because you're able to, like, well, at least I've found I've been able to take those days that are like really tough on set, or you know, you're working on something really intense in theater, and you're able to turn around and go, all right, I get to be silly now. I get to be silly tonight. And that's kind of a cathartic way of getting that out, you know, because you get the really happy with the really, really sad. And And then that's why you need the tea and the edible at the end of the day. But it is funny because like even I did a show with the Neptune Theater a couple of years ago, and with ACPIC Theater, and it was and the NAC in the Northwest Territories, and it was Powaggan, and it was a Cree adaptation of Mackers. But I was in Nova Scotia for like 6 weeks, and I just really ingrained myself in the stand-up scene there. And so I would be doing rehearsals and then immediately leave rehearsal and go to an open mic or go to a show, or I got to do the club for a weekend while I was there. And it's like, I feel like that's so important for me. And I know that not everybody is like that, where like a lot of people will do a show or do a rehearsal and they're like, that was my thing for the day, you know, like, and I get that it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But I can't really sit still. That's my biggest problem. And I think a part of it comes from being like a farm boy, you know, part of it comes from like, there was always something to do. And so when, you know, you are suddenly in a position where you have a very strict schedule of like, this is what's happening. And with theater, you get that a lot, where it's like, okay, your rehearsals are going to be 6 days from, you know, 10 to 6. And that is a very exhausting process, but I need that outlet to be me still.
Yeah.
And I think that especially like, you know, a lot of the theater that I do is or that I have done, because I'm full on taking a break from theater. I'm like, I feel like I want to focus on comedy, and I think that that's been something that over the last few years I've really realized. And I also had a really bad mental health episode this spring and needed to leave a project, and because of that, it made me realize like just how important it is for me to have more control over what I'm doing, you know, and to be able to go, okay, like maybe I don't need to, you know, dive as deep into the text as before. But a lot of the theater that I have been doing has been very heavy stuff, you know, and it's had because if there's one thing playwrights love to do, it's write some fucking sad material.
Yeah.
Makes an audience you know, think about themselves differently. And so it's kind of important for me to be able to have that outlet where I'm allowed to be goofy, even if I am talking about something serious like mental health. I'm still, you know, having that mischievous glimmer in my eye.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think it's so important to realize, like, again, I've just talking with all these filmmakers for these documentaries for Cuff Docs, and, you know, some of them are some heavy subjects. Like, one's about, you know, grief and, like, loss of mother. And so, like, it's having these conversations that we don't want to not have the conversation, because that's the problem with society, where generation after generation, let's not talk about this, push it aside. No, nobody's dealing with it, but people are dealing with it. But you got to find what's best for you.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to some heavy subjects. And I think you and I are similar. That like, I need moments where I need to have a serious conversation with a friend, and I need to be sad and I need to cry, but then I really need to make inappropriate jokes.
Yeah, I really need that element, or else I'm gonna go crazy, you know. And like after I had this like really bad mental health episode in the spring, I finally gotten a therapist that I really click with. And I'm so thankful, because like I've had so many therapists before, and I mean I talked about it in the special, but like I've had therapists before that have just not understood or got me, and it's so important to me that I'm able to make the joke, have my therapist laugh, and then we can talk about it afterwards. Whereas like so many therapists are like, well, why did you say that? And I'm like, I don't know, because that's how I feel, but it's the easiest way to package it, you know. And I think that in our society, you know, everybody wants to talk about mental health until it's time to talk about mental health, you know, because again, and I talked about it in my special, but like there was somebody who, like, after doing this one joke for years, right before recording, I got like completely just blindsided by an audience member who was fucking upset with what I was saying. And I wasn't saying anything about like, haha, isn't suicide funny?
Yeah.
I was like, hey, this is my experience and this is why I think it's funny. And hey, it's kind of funny that I fucked up killing myself so many times, like those are, but this person was like so affected by it in such a negative way. And to me, that's, it speaks to how much we've been suppressed about talking about these things, because realistically, mental health, it's like death. Everybody's going to deal with it. And so you have to be able to talk about it and be open about it, however that is for you. And like for me, the way to talk about it is to make fun of it. Like, there's no way that I can't make a joke about it. And I know that it makes some people uncomfortable, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that being like, nope, that's going to be an outcome. Because I think that the more that you do talk about it and the more that you are honest in whatever way you need to be honest, it just helps actually open up that conversation. And then we're not living in this like Bell Let's Talk world where for one day a year we pretend to give a shit.
And I mean, this is why I'm such an advocate for Hospice Calgary's Children's Grief Center. Because as adults, we don't know how to talk about grief. So if we don't know how to talk about it to the kids, then we're just going to keep repeating this pattern over and over again. But if we can get kids and teens talking about grief and the loss they're feeling, and have a healthy understanding of it, and understanding that we're all going to go through this at some point, we're going to set up the next generation so much better.
Oh yeah. And I feel like grief is grief and dealing with death is such an interesting one, because like I know like you lost your mom at a young age, and that's difficult. And like I didn't experience death from a family member or from an older person first. I actually experienced somebody that I went to school with died like 5 minutes from my house.
Oh, wow.
And like it was, I was kind of, I wasn't there at the scene, but the person who was with them had came into our yard and was like, we need to call an ambulance, blah, blah, blah. So like I saw the frantic moments of like what was happening. Well, this was all, going down. And to be like, 12 years old and to see somebody that's your age just die, it really gives you that realization that life is so fleeting. And there's not, even this was like, almost 20 years ago now. And it's like, that's not something that was easy for the school to even talk about. Like it was, and they were great though. I will say like all of our teachers were so good at like helping everybody through that. But it is one of those things that you start to see like, oh, now that we are like 20 years further, there's so many different tools that could have been used and resources. And again, like it's one of those things that as a kid you don't even notice it. So
it's things we don't realize as kids, and it's just. But if we start to talk about it more, then it's gonna be a better fucking place for everybody.
It's gonna be a way better fucking place. Because it's you can't keep that shit inside. And you again, you realize that the older you get, that it's actually so fucking detrimental to do so.
And for me, what's really helped me with my mental health and everything has been performing, entertaining, hosting trivia where I can sometimes, take a moment to bring up something serious, doing this podcast. And like, for me, I'm just having these conversations, and I've had people message me afterwards being like, thank you for like doing this, saying this. And I'm like, see, even though we were coming out for a fun trivia night where I'm going to have drinks and say something stupid, I'm still going to say something that might help somebody,
and it's going to resonate with someone, like, and that's, I think, why it was so important for me on a personal level to talk about mental health so much in this last special. I don't doubt my new the new hour I've been building is so fucking dirty, like compared to what I was doing before. There's not really the dark element to it. And it's funny because I don't know why I wasn't dirty before, but I listened back to that first hour. I'm like, nothing about that was like that dirty. A lot of it was just really dark. But but now all of my material I'm talking about is so dirty, and I feel like I needed to go like to work on the actual tough shit first.
Yeah.
To be able to do the fun stuff.
Yeah. That's
such an analogy for life.
Said anybody with daddy issues.
Legit.
So let me ask you, so the special's out now on YouTube. I watched it. It's great. It's awesome. What I also loved, and I want to know why you decided to do it this way. You kind of mentioned it earlier, but you have moments where things will come up on screen. We have the bottom break. We have a cutaway to the house hippo. You have like Kim Jong-un shows up. I won't reveal more because I want people to watch it. But what made you decide that you weren't going to just do a normal special where it is just person on the stage?
There was a couple of reasons. The first was like when I shot it, I actually shot it with a 4-camera setup, and because I shot it at Ranchman's, and it was so important for me to shoot it there because I felt like it was so fitting for Cowboy number 2.
I know, I didn't even ask you about it because I was like, I think it's clear why.
Yeah, it's clear why. But but it was so important for me to capture the vibe of Ranchman's, and so I was like, oh, I have to have a 4-camera setup, and like the whole thing for actually recording it was such a huge process. And then when I started editing it, there was actually 2 things that happened that changed the whole way that the special was going to be put out. The first one was the original idea was that the special was going to open with me getting on a bull again, and I was obviously going to get shit whipped into the dirt, and it was going to be funny. And then I got to the rodeo, and I was like, I think this is a terrible idea. Like, I was just like, this is not something I need to do, like, at all.
I just made a huge
mistake. And it was funny because I ended up, while I was there, it was at Cochrane Rodeo, and Chad Bestplug, who's like, I think he's 3-time Canadian champion. He's been to the PBR World Finals. He's now like the arena director at the Calgary Stampede. So like he's ingrained in the world and everything, and obviously somebody that I looked up to as a kid. And he was there with his kid, and I had a conversation with him, and he was like, yeah, so you're getting on again? And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, yeah, I wouldn't. And like just literally him saying that made me realize like, okay, that's a guy that was quite literally top of his game in this event. And he retired younger than I am currently.
Yeah.
And he's like, I absolutely wouldn't do that. And that was the thing that like really clicked in my head that I shouldn't do this. So that was the first thing that changed. Second thing was I spent 6 months editing it myself, where I had added all of this animation and like this clip art animation. So the whole thing was going to have like basically like story happening on the screen while, it was cutting to different cameras and everything. And then all of the files crashed. It was every single save file. And I'm really good at double saving everything and saving on different devices, like a hard drive, the cloud, and the laptop, so that I have everything. And everything crashed. Oh. And I was like, that was after probably putting, 80 hours into it. And I was like, I don't want to touch this. So I handed it off to an editor. First editor had it for a month and then was like, yeah, I can't do this. And I was like, crap. So then I handed it off to another editor. And she had it, and then she ended up in the hospital because their neighbor was methed out of his gourd and decided to pump pesticides into their house, like through their basement window. And so her whole family ended up in the hospital, like her kids, her partner, and like wild fucking thing to have happen. And I was like, well, I guess she's not doing it now. And then I realized I had to do it. And so I started re-editing it again the way that I was going to the first time.
Yeah.
And then again the files crashed. But then this time lost 2 of the cameras. So I lost 2 out of 4 cameras, and I was so fucking mad because I was I had spent so much time and money and everything on that. And then it was the you got to work with what you got. And so I chose to stick with that camera that was just, right by the stage, and a weird angle to choose for a comedy special. Like I've gotten that note from some people, but I've also gotten the note from some people that was, it feels like I'm in the front row.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm catching up with an old friend. And I'm like, I love that. That's the vibe that's coming out of it. But the edits, it was literally to save the fact that I couldn't cut away. I couldn't cut away to anything. So there's like 15 minutes of jokes that I cut from the special just because I was like, it doesn't fit the vibe. It doesn't fit the logical flow.
Yes.
And there was no way to cut around that. So I had to get creative with it. And I've been making these stupid fucking YouTube videos for a while now, like that was in preparation for the special, like building up some hype on YouTube and everything. And, all of these like, you know, videos have done this style of editing. So it was like, I should just, I'm good at this style of editing. Why not throw that in there? You know, it's just another thing that makes it a little bit more unique and a little more me. So that was kind of the reasons why, I guess.
Yeah. Technology. Real fun.
It's the worst. I hate it.
I mean, I know people are always like, oh, well, like, why don't you do video for your podcast? I'm like, well, because first of all, the only reason why you really need video is for like that 30-second clip on Instagram. No one's really watching a full length. If you're listening to a podcast, thank you. Grateful. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you're the best.
You're doing it because you're got a long drive, or you're walking, or going for bike
or you're doing chores,
working out. So you don't have time to sit and watch.
Also, who wants to sit and watch two people sitting and talk?
Exactly.
You know, like you want to listen to it.
So that's one of the main reasons. The other thing is, like, I don't want to have to deal with all that other aspect to it.
It's such an added pressure to something that doesn't need that pressure. You know, like I do think that there is something about podcasts being a audio medium that over the last few years has changed drastically. Yeah, where it is a multimedia medium, and I can respect that and appreciate it. But even when I was doing Misfits on vinyl, like the video aspect of it was the most painful part. And Sam Lindsay was our producer for the first year, and like he was great at getting those edits done and everything, but then when it was me doing all of that, I was like, oh, I can't. Yeah. Dude, like, this is so much more work. And I think now I'm a better editor, so I would understand it a bit better. Back then, I definitely was not.
And one of my favorite podcasts that has been around for a very long time is How Did This Get Made?
Right.
And they don't do video, and they'll release some things on Instagram, like they're like audio clips, but they'll just have like photos and like screenshots and everything like that. I'm like, see, they've been doing just fine.
Yeah.
You don't need
it. It's just flashy.
Yeah,
it's just flashy. It's just showing off.
Well, speaking of showing off, you've now released this into the world.
Yeah.
The moment you released it, were you excited? Did you feel a sense of relief? Were you like, oh, what did I do?
There was the build up to it was definitely anxiety. I was feeling like I was worried that people were going to react poorly to it, in not a way of like, oh, they're not going to like it. I was worried that people were going to fucking hate me, which is absurd because nobody actually, the internet's not real. Nobody gives a shit. No. But that, like, it was like, you know, building up in my mind. And then it got better. And then the moment that I released it, it did feel like a huge weight got lifted off my shoulders. And it felt like, oh, I can put that to the side and never have to think about it again. And that's kind of a nice thing, because I can look at it as a whole now as like something to be proud of. But when you're in the moment and you're having so many different issues coming up, it's hard to be proud of it because you're just thinking about everything that's going wrong, right? But now that it's done and out there, I'm like, no, I'm fucking happy with it. That was a first special. I'm happy with that being the first special, you know?
Well, I mean, like I said, you did a great job with it. I thought it was super fun. People should definitely check it out. And now you mentioned, you know, you're working on the next hour, but more importantly, like, I mean, it's almost the end of 2025.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for 2026?
You know, I think that 2026, it's going to be a year of a lot of road gigs. That's the main focus, I think, is getting back out on the road and doing as many shows as I can. But not putting pressure on myself about anything. I'm kind of taking this time now where the only big project that I have on the plate is White Mocha, my documentary about James Moore and Comedy Monday Night, which I'm just, editing it when I have time and when I feel like it, because I feel like there's no timeline with it.
Yeah.
It's something that is going to be evergreen, so I don't have to worry about it. But the other thing that I'm going to do is keep doing these YouTube videos, these weekly YouTube videos, because they're like, 6 to 10 minutes, and it's nerding out about music and then cracking stupid jokes and making dumb edits. Like I made a whole edit of me and Gavin Adcock making out. I mean, like that's like I can't not be happy when I'm doing stupid things like that. So those are kind of the focuses. Gonna keep auditioning for film, but like you know how it is with everything. It's like you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And Calgary's film industry is kind of like taken a steep tank since the writers and actors strike.
Yeah.
So we're in this weird sort of limbo now where everything had built up for like 15 years to where we had like 8 productions shooting in the city, to now I think we have like 4, and it's 4 that have been like returning. So there's definitely that's always going to be something I do. Like I'll audition, but you can't rely on it. It's fun when it happens. But with theater, it's definitely taken a step back. I just did I got brought on to Top Secret Musical at Storybook, and I was really grateful for it because I had left Pewaukee in the spring because of my mental health issues, and I was very much like cut and dry. I'm never doing theater again. Like that was, and granted, none of my issues had really, if I boiled it down, anything to do with theater or any of the people or anything.
Yeah.
It was just, that was not a good environment for me. And then JP phoned me because I teach acting for kids at Storybook, and I direct some kids shows. And so
even with this haircut,
I'm allowed near kids. It's surprising. And these glasses and this mustache, it's a whole vibe.
Really surprising.
But he phoned me because somebody dropped out and they needed somebody to fill in, and he was like, it's only 4 rehearsals and then it's 2 shows. And I was like, that's the perfect amount of theater for me. I don't have to overthink it. And then it was such a goofy, fun script that it made me realize, like, maybe I just actually want to do funny stuff and focus on that. Because I think that maybe that's going to be where I, excel moving forward. I spent my 20s being that depressed artist, as we mentioned earlier, the cigarette and the black coffee. And I think that my 30s are going to be me just being silly. So I think that's what I'd like to move into 2026 with the vibe of.
Awesome. Well, before we go, I do want to quickly ask, people listening who are here in Calgary, where are some great places to go check out live comedy, especially since we've lost
so many.
So what do we do?
The easiest thing to do, we have 2 great clubs. We got Young Yucks and the Laugh Shop. They're both amazing. Like you're realistically, the Laugh Shop is one of the best clubs in North America, not even just the country. There's the Laugh Loft at the Attic on Sundays in Inglewood. That's a great place to go check out some queer, BIPOC, and femme comics. That's like the focus there. Great space for that. Rat Boy at Vern's is a great place to go. It's really become popular in the last year, and I was genuinely surprised when I came down the first time to Rat Boy and I saw, wow, there's 75 people here. That's insane. And Vern's is such a small place that that feels huge, right? And then there's a few open mics that are actually not too bad that in the city right now, Crosswalk Comedy at Civic Tavern, which it's so funny doing comedy in a living room. That's always a good vibe. But I think just checking out and following local comedians, because that's the easiest way to find out what's happening in the scene.
Yeah. Well, that's easy enough. People, go follow Spencer. Check out his special.
Yes, please do, and like and comment. It helps so much with the algorithm.
Yeah.
I hate playing to the algorithm.
If anyone names Podcast Daddy 69 really insults you, I have no idea who that is. Okay, so don't listen to that comment.
I will definitely screenshot it, share it to the story, and go, fuck this guy. My feelings.
You don't have it.
Oh, shucks. Well, thank you so much for having me. I
Thank you, buddy. This has been great.
This has been so much fun.
Only a couple tangents. So
A couple of tangents.
look at us go.
Look at us go.
Thank you, Spencer Streichert. Make sure to follow him on social media so you can, find out all the fun things to do when it comes to comedy here in Calgary. And check out his special. Cowboy #2 is now available for free on YouTube. Just go ahead, search Spencer, Cowboy #2. It's going to come up. If you're looking for something fun to watch, this is definitely it for you. So go give it a whirl. Support local comedians. Go see stand-up comics whenever you can. They're such hard workers. They're putting their heart and soul into these stand-up acts. So, give them a follow, give them a support, give them love. Make sure to follow me on social media at PTW Craig, Passing Time with Craig on Facebook and Instagram for all the fun ways to pass time. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye.